Okay, this is October 1st, 2023, and we have moved up through Matthew now into midway through the 21st chapter. We've skipped some stuff here, like the a lot of fun in Jericho, and then the trip into Jerusalem, and the triumphal entry as he jogs along jauntily on the back of a donkey, and people are singing to him, "Hosanna! Hosanna!" This is a rebellion, folks. This is street theater, which is meant to counter or to provide a kind of parody of the Roman legions coming in to Jerusalem on their big horses. So this is a lot of fun. Gets the crowd excited. Jesus is tired. He goes back up to Bethany, where he crashes with his buddy Lazarus, and his sisters Mary and Martha, and we've got some stories about them that we will come back to at some point. But now it's the morning of the first day, second day maybe, yeah, it would have had been the second day. And he goes into town, he goes into Jerusalem, goes into the temple where the temple leaders are expecting him, because they know that this is what he does. He shows up and he's going to want to teach people. And they want to ask him about by what authority is he doing what he's doing? These folks are really interested in this whole concept of authority, and so they want to know, what is it, who gives you the authority to do what you do? And so Jesus says, I'm not going to answer that question until you answer my question. Now, did the baptism of John the Baptist, remember him, come from heaven, or was it of human origin? And they said, so if we say it's from heaven, he's going to say to us, why didn't you believe him? But if we say of human origin, then we're afraid of the crowd, because they all see John as a prophet. Right? So, well, we can't answer you, Jesus. So Jesus says, well, then I won't answer you either. But here, let me tell you a story. Right? There was a man that had two sons, and he says to the first one, go out and work in the vineyard. And the son says, no, I'm going to hang with my friends today. I don't want to do that. But then he thinks better of it, and he does go and he works. Father says to the second son, go out and work in the vineyard. And the son says, yes, Daddy, whatever you want, I'm going to go do it. And then he doesn't. And so Jesus asks the priests, which one did the will of his father? Well, of course, the first one. Even though he rejected the authority of his father at first, then he came around and he did what his father wanted. So he's the one who did the will of his father. So Jesus is pointing out to them that these sinners, these tax collectors, these are the people, they're doing the will of their father. And the chief priests, the scribes, they are not. This is a message of judgment against them. And this is only one of many of these, and we'll see throughout this 21st chapter and in other places as well. Jesus is going head to head with the religious authorities here. So, I'm a father. I have two sons, and sometimes when I want one of my sons to do something, they will do it, and sometimes they won't. And sometimes they tell me they will, and sometimes they tell me they won't. But just because they say they won't doesn't mean they won't come around to it. As it happens, my father also has two sons, of which I am one, and sometimes I would do what he wanted, and sometimes I wouldn't. Sometimes I would rebel. Sometimes I would not acknowledge his authority. So the question here that underlies this whole lesson here is about the nature of authority and obedience. Where does authority come from? And the assumption here, certainly is the assumption of the priests, that authority comes from above. Who's giving you authority? Who said it was okay for you to do this, Jesus? And Jesus says, no, that's not where authority comes from. Authority comes from our will to obey. When I say I'm going to do what I think is wise, what somebody has told me is the best thing to do, what is really needed for the community at this point, when I honor that message, then I'm giving authority to the one who told me to do it. Authority is created by those who are governed, not by the one who is the titular authority. This is a huge issue in our world these days because we live in a struggle between democracy and authoritarianism. There are many people in many countries around the world who say that the only way that we're going to be safe, that we're going to be able to construct what we need as a community, is if we have somebody or some group that's strong and in charge and tells everybody what to do and will punish anyone who does not fall in line. And those who say, no, some diversity is actually a good thing, that we want people who don't necessarily toe the line, but all of us who work together for the common good can actually create a safer and more satisfying community than having some bosses who are in charge. So this is fundamental to the struggles that we're having in our society today. Do we each decide who has authority? And do we understand that the choices we're making construct that authority? So, living intentionally actually creates the world in which we live. All right, that is our message for today. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you next week.